variety that we were growing. So that was really fun for my family to discover that. And
that. And I'm not going to tell you what feedback I got from the PI the other day, but it was pretty interesting to see that. And, you know, I was very happy to be one of the samples and provide some data on that.
Tamar, you got a favorite one?
Yeah, and for me personally, so first of all, it's really hard to pick a favorite experiment because there's so many, and the station is going around the clock. Even when we go to bed, like Megan mentioned before, scientists still use the station with outside facilities, inside facilities, and then when we get up again the next morning, we start again on some other experiments in all kinds of domains. So it's really fascinating, and for me, it's always been difficult to pick a favorite experiment. I think this time, there was one that was called celestial immunity that was actually really interesting because it targets the immune system. And I think in the times that we're living in and the challenges that we're facing right now on the Earth, the immune system has become more than a hot topic, but something that people want to know more about and look more in detail into. So I think if the space station can help, you know, pushing those results on the ground, that's usually beneficial to everyone. Like, it's really easy to understand. And if we've done our part in that global fight, then I'm pretty happy about it.
All right, great answers. We'll take another question from the phone line.
Mr. Inokuchi from Kyoto News, your line is open.
Thank you for taking my question. Inokuchi for Kyoto News. I have a question to Mr. Hoshide. You have just mentioned about the difference between the Soyuz space shuttle and this time SpaceX Crew-2. Could you explain a little bit more about the difference in terms of training and spacesuits and launching, landing? And could you mention about the possibility of the future of the commercialization of space travel? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. So, so we trained maybe a year prior to launch on the Crew Dragon capsule. But mainly, Shannon, Megan, as the commander and the pilot, they've been trained how to operate the spacecraft and, when to take over, what to do if something happens. Tamar and I were more focused on the inside, what to do with the spacesuit and all the cargo packing. And if something happens, then how to support Shane and Megan. That training, I think, was great. SpaceX did a great job focusing on what we need. It wasn't a very long training period, but nevertheless, we got what we needed. The launch and landing itself, it's just like other spacecraft, but it was smooth. I think it was more responsive. That's what I remember going uphill. All the acceleration, deceleration, that was like, it was like a joyride. And I still remember that day when all four of us were like, whoop, yay, and just cheering and giggling all the way until Miko. I think this capability provides a great milestone and a path to commercialization, and more people will enjoy the environment in space. They can bring their own idea, create new cultures up there, and I think it definitely opened a new door to space.
All right, we'll take another question from social media. Nate on Twitter for Thomas. 2 questions. Why is sharing what you see from the space station important for the world to see? Talking about sharing on social media. And what was your favorite photo to take and share?
Well, that's great questions. I think it's important to share, first of all, because I think we are a public service. We have a responsibility to do things for the people and to kind of inform people of what we're doing for them, because that's what we're doing. We're not going to space. It makes us very happy, but we're not, I mean, NASA is not sending space just to make us happy. It's sending us to space because it's useful for everybody. So I think it's kind of part of the job to explain why and then kind of share the adventure. There's also a very personal aspect in that I grew up, a fan of human spaceflight, and I was starved of information when I was a younger kid or a teenager. There was not much you could see, the occasional book, the occasional magazine. So nowadays we live in a fantastic time where you can, watch things on the internet and follow the missions as closely as possible. So I really enjoy sharing it with everybody. I think there's a responsibility also to share this point of view, because you see the fragility of the Earth, like all the astronauts who come back from space are going to tell you. It seems limitless, empty, very vast and infinite. But when you see the Earth from space, it's very finite, limited resources. So there's a responsibility to share that viewpoint so that people understand the situation we're in. So with that in mind, I think there's too many pictures. I've taken quite a few. We've all taken quite a few pictures, but even more so this time than the first time than for my first mission. I still have to go back and look, which is going to be a lot of work for me. So I don't know if I'm able to get to that soon. But I have to mention the auroras, and I'm sure my crewmates are going to agree. We've been treated with some unbelievable auroras, much more than during my first mission. Like, we've seen maybe 15, 20, some of them so bright, so unbelievably bright and active, flying right through them. And it's sad because the pictures just don't do them justice, and everybody's going to tell you the same. We tried to take pictures, some of them came out pretty okay, but still it's not the same as flying right overhead and through the aurora and seeing it glow around you, which is I think most unbelievable natural phenomena you could possibly witness with your own eyes. So yeah, I think I have to mention the auroras.
That's amazing. Thank you, Thomas. Okay, I think this is a good question to wrap us up from Taif on Facebook. What will you miss most about each other?
Wow, that's a loaded question there. No, we obviously enjoyed being together for a little over 6 months in space, and it's kind of funny. This past week has been like, I've been like, where's Megan? Where's Aki? Because I'm walking around. That's what I'm thinking. Where's Thomas? Where's Mark? Because those are the faces you see every morning as soon as you get up, or if you need something, that's who you go to. So it's been a little adjustment. And I just miss being with them, honestly, because our friendship has grown very deep over the last 6 months, and look forward to continuing that. It's just in a different capacity.
It's a wonderful experience, as Shane said, to share together. And I think, this crew really had a shared sense of humor, all of us, including our cosmonaut crewmates. One of the things we love to do is just make each other laugh. And that's really fun to do. It's a great way to kind of end the day and let off steam from, different frustrations that you might have experienced, different challenges. And just, making each other laugh and laughing in return has been one of the really special things, I think, about the experience. So, we'll still do that, of course, when we manage to get together. But, it is strange not seeing these faces every day.
Yeah, I have the same feeling, and I think I speak for all of us, but maybe 2 weeks out before we came back, I think we started to feel that, okay, this whole fun trip is coming to an end. And when we were sharing meals at the table, I felt like we did not want to leave that table, because it was so fun to be together. And I just miss those times.
And I agree. And for me, it's like Shane was saying now, I kind of looking around myself and expecting one of you guys to pop up at any time like you used to do, which is a strange feeling. But I think professionally, it's like the sense of belonging to a team and having the same objectives, and everybody's trying to achieve something all together. And the fact that we're so much more efficient as a group than the sum of the individuals, and now I'm kind of missing that, because obviously you're reunited with your family, so you go from your space family to your ground family. It's good too, but just that empowerment to know that we would do things together, things that I was unable to do on my own, I could do with the help of Shane, with the help of Megan, with the help of Aki or anybody else, and we would do so much every day that looking back, I was like, wow, how did we do this? And now I'm finding myself alone on the other side of the Atlantic, a little bit sad. And I'm like, no, I couldn't achieve this with all of you guys. So miss you.
Same.
That's awesome. Okay, we have one more caller that has popped on the line, so we'll take one more question from media. Go ahead.
And David Curley from Discovery Channel, your line is open.
Thank you much for taking the call, and I did join late, and if you've answered this question, please ignore and move on. But I was hoping, Shane, you could fill out the narrative a little bit on the Nakula. You mentioned that we know the alarm went off both on the ground and at the station at the same time. You said you went to the capsule. Did you close the hatch? Did you come back out with another alarm go back? Can you just fill out that narrative for us without jeopardizing the investigation? Just give us a sense of what you guys did in that time period. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I didn't get the original event you were asking about. Could you please restate that?
It was the Nakula with the inadvertent thruster firing.
Okay, we're with you now. So that was an interesting time, of course. The loss of attitude control, or LOAC as we call it, when it happened. I think a handful of us, or 3 or 4 of us, were in the Columbus module at the time when the alarms went off. We immediately then reported to the U.S. laboratory, which is Aki was the commander at the time, and we showed up, and Aki started giving us roles and responsibilities to react to the situation, and everybody kind of fell in line with our training and just started reacting under Aki's leadership. And then we shortly after that, we were pretty much controlling the space station because the ground couldn't send the commands due to our tumbling sensation that we were going through there. The communication just wasn't great for the ground to be able to talk to the space station. So we had to do it. We relied on our training, and it just kind of kicked in. The stuff that we thought we'd never ever use, we were using, and we worked really well together as a team to kind of get that situation back under control. And I don't even know the time frame, but maybe half an hour later, I think the station was back in the correct attitude. And then we had did a lot of debriefings to try to figure out what went wrong, how do we prevent it in the future, and we would never what we did. So anyway.
All right, thank you. We'll wrap up with some fun moments from the Crew-2